Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're looking at a story that has absolutely blown up online, and honestly, it's a pretty intense reality check about survival in the modern economy. Right now, with all the tech layoffs and severe hiring slowdowns, one former IT employee shared a Reddit post that went massively viral. It's a bit ominous, but it's such an important cautionary tale. We're going to trace their exact journey, emotionally and financially, from the very minute they handed in their resignation to the harsh, on-the-ground reality of trying to survive the hyper-competitive 2026 job market. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this. The whole thing started with an idea that I think a lot of us can really relate to. Mental peace is greater than salary. On February 27th, 2026, this person made a choice that so many of us dream about when we're just completely burnt out. They resigned from a deeply toxic IT job. They chose their mental health over their paycheck. And, in that moment, taking back control, escaping that poisonous environment, it felt like a massive victory. It's a bold statement, for sure, and one that clearly resonates with thousands of exhausted professionals out there. And honestly, right at the start, that bold move felt totally justified. Those first few weeks were riding high on optimism. For the next 2 months, they were out there actively grinding. They went to several interviews, and by their own account, some of them went really, really well. We all know that feeling, right? You log off the video call and you're just like, yep, nailed it. A healthier, better job felt like it was literally right around the corner. They had the experience, they did the work, and all the initial signals were totally green. But then they hit what we're calling the wall of silence. And this is where the heavy psychological toll really kicks in. Despite those great interviews, 2 months roll by and nothing. Still unemployed. Why? Because the recruiters went completely silent. No rejection email to give them closure, no callback with feedback, absolutely nothing. They were just completely ghosted. Just imagine that crushing anxiety, right? Checking your inbox every single hour, waiting for a lifeline that never comes. The narrator talked about how this repeated rejection by silence just slowly, painfully chipped away at their professional confidence and self-worth. Let's move along and see how this builds, because the timeline of this financial freefall is terrifyingly fast. They quit in late February of 2026. By April, we're talking just a matter of weeks here, their savings and provident fund were totally wiped out by the prolonged job search, which brings us to their current reality, a complete loss of independence. They are now relying entirely on their family just to survive. It's a stark reminder of how incredibly thin the financial buffer really is, even for experienced IT professionals right now. It's one thing to just say, oh, I lost my savings. But it is an entirely different thing to live through this kind of drastic lifestyle shift every single day. Not that long ago, they were heading to D-Mart, just throwing groceries in the cart without stressing over every single price tag. And now, they're physically standing in line at government ration shops just to afford basic food. This isn't just a hit to the wallet, it is a massive emotional blow. It's a painful daily reminder of exactly how fast middle-class comfort can just vanish the second those paychecks stop coming. And that drop in living standards? It completely killed their mobility, too. The user shared this really specific grounding detail in their post. They said, I have a car parked outside, but no money to fill petrol. It's just such a stark physical symbol of their reality. The car is sitting right there, this physical proof of their successful IT career, but it's completely useless now because there's zero cash flow. They are literally and figuratively just stalled out in the driveway while the rest of the world keeps moving without them. Which brings us to a really harsh number. 25,000 rupees. Look, when the savings run dry and the interviews just lead to ghosting, your raw survival instincts have to take over. Since they couldn't secure another IT role, this former tech worker had to take a massive, incredibly humbling step backwards just to survive. They ended up having to accept a job that paid only 25,000 rupees a month, just to get some actual cash flowing again. So where exactly is that 25,000 rupees coming from? They're working as a construction site supervisor. Just think about the brutal compromise of that pivot for a second. They traded the air-conditioned, white-collar world of IT for manual supervision on a dusty construction site. As the user themselves put it, they never thought life would flip this hard after working in IT. It really shows what someone will do when they absolutely have to survive. But man, it is also a stunning reflection of a deeply broken white-collar job market. And to make matters worse, throughout all of this, the narrator had to carry the heavy burden of toxic positivity. You see phrases like just upskill or keep trying all over professional networking sites, right? Now, people usually mean well when they say this stuff, but the user pointed out how deeply discouraging it actually feels on the receiving end.
When you've spent months getting absolutely nothing but silence and ghosting, hearing "just keep trying" actually destroys your confidence even more. It kind of shifts the blame onto the job seeker, like, oh, you just aren't skilled enough, completely ignoring the harsh reality that the market is simply frozen.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate takeaway from this whole emotional roller coaster. To use their exact words, maybe IT isn't dead, but for people like us trying to break in or survive in 2026, it definitely feels doomed. That really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It captures that overarching frustration perfectly. We aren't just talking about one person failing an interview here. It's this widespread, systemic feeling of hopelessness. The 2026 tech landscape has shifted so much that even people with great experience feel like the doors are just locked from the inside.
Now, the reason we're digging into this story in today's explainer is that it is absolutely not an isolated incident. This post sparked a massive online discussion, and the echoes of this crisis were everywhere. People flooded the comments sharing similar struggles with layoffs and intense financial stress. One person actually mentioned they'd been jobless for 6 months and had to start driving for Swiggy and Instamart just to buy groceries. They said whatever savings they had built up over the last 6 years completely vanished in just 6 months. But on the flip side, part of this viral debate also had people actively questioning the original user's choices. Many debated whether it was just a bad move to resign without a solid financial backup plan, regardless of how incredibly toxic the job was.
Which leaves us with one seriously vital question. In the 2026 job market, can anyone actually afford to choose mental peace without a backup plan? This story really forces us to look at the incredibly dangerous tightrope walk between protecting our mental health and ensuring our financial survival today. When the tech market is this unforgiving, leaving a toxic environment might definitely save your sanity in the short term, but as we've just seen, it could literally cost you your entire livelihood in the long run. It's a complex, honestly frightening reality, and it's something every single professional needs to be acutely aware of. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this deep dive gave you a clearer picture of what's actually happening on the ground in today's job market. Keep that question in mind, and we'll catch you next time.